Coming up this weekend at heavyweight, Matt finishes a cherry tomato, and we have a couple of guys that won twice each on Dana White's Contender Series. We have the Stormtrooper, Jamal Pogues, representing Syndicate MMA, taking on Josh Parisian. Matt, do you think Josh Parisian would be really, really cool if he walked out to that Run the Jewels remix, like Ooh La La Ah Wee Wee, with like Parisian as his last name? Wouldn't that be cool?
It would be very out of character, I would say.
I guess it would. But Matt, for a guy whose last name is as such and probably enjoys bruschetta, that's the rest of my Francais jokes. But when you look at a matchup like this for Parisian, he's alternated wins and losses recently. And that's kind of been the story of the career. And I mentioned it, like he fought Greg Rebello quite a while ago on Contender Series. For some reason, a first round knockout there wasn't impressive enough. So then he beats Ocho Cinco, Chad Johnson. And the last time I said that, somebody was like, but he didn't actually fight that Chad Johnson. No, he didn't. It's a joke. He beats him by first round finish. So after that, he ends up in the UFC. Now, what people might not realize is, after he beat Greg Rebello, they went, well, we don't want you in the UFC, but gosh darn it, we're trying to reboot that Ultimate Fighter. Let's get you on the season. And he lost to, Cuban heavyweight Michel Batista. Gets finished there, then loses to Brett Martin. I thought for the longest time Brett Martin could be the best heavyweight prospect known to man, but he hasn't competed enough. So maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. But if I look at everything out of Josh Parisian, what's he good at? 2008 MMAing everybody.
That's the weird thing about Parisian. It is very difficult to get a good opinion as to where he sits in the division because he just fights a bunch of entry-level UFC fighters, and if you do have promise, you're probably going to beat Josh Parisian. If you don't, though, or if you are past your prime, well, guess what? Josh Parisian's probably going to beat you. Now, Parisian is a good 2008 heavyweight. Like, he is well-rounded, and that is something you have to say for Parisian.
He's got good cardio.
Exactly. He has plus cardio for the division.
Decent chin.
Decent chin, but it gets tested too much, and that really is the concern, especially in a matchup like this. But for Parisian, it is just a meat and potatoes game. Like, he's going to go out there, he's going to use his cardio, use his physicality, and really try to wear on you. The problem is, he doesn't have great striking defense in a division where that's one of the most important attributes a fighter can have, because I don't care how sloppy a heavyweight is, I don't care how poor the wrestling defense is, everybody, by being virtue of a heavyweight, has hand power and has real punching power. And for Parisian, he has had his chin tested quite a few times, and even in the fights where he wins, there's always that moment where Parisian gets clipped by an uppercut, gets hit by a hook, and you do worry about, oh my goodness, have his legs given out? And for Parisian, I just think we know what we know about him, and there's nothing wrong with that. He's probably going to find himself in a lot more fights like this one, no matter what the result of this is, because he's going to be able to out-wrestle guys who have that big hole in their game and who can't get back up to their feet. But again, if you're a plus striker who has pretty good takedown defense, and you can use your movement a little bit, you're probably going to look pretty good against a guy like Josh Parisian.
Josh Parisian, his last time out, weighing in, really testing the limits, 265.5, taking on 248 in Jamal Pogues. But if you look at it for Pogues, he's not a big guy. Like, he's more a light heavyweight. So I'm surprised to see that he's sticking around in this division. I guess easier path up to the top now that you have Jamal Hill as your champ at 205. But when you look at both these guys' records, they really have lost to some big names. Like, if you look at it for Pogues, his last time out, his last loss, it was a main event with the LFA for the title against Alex Polizzi, a guy who, listen, the guy can wrestle. He can't beat Yoel Romero, but he can wrestle very, very well. But when you go back and you watch that fight, yeah, Polizzi wins in the championship rounds by submission. Pogues has his moments with his wrestling. Now, in the first round, it was like Monkey God Shorty Torres, the slam with Pogues riding his back. But Pogues had good scrambles from the bottom. Pogues had his own good wrestling. He also lost to Jordan Young, who's definitely gone too soon, and a loss to Taylor Johnson in his debut. But what I know out of Pogues, as I cough, is the fact that when striking for striking's sake, if I compare these guys, Jamal Pogues is probably a better outside striker, but he tends to likes to crowd the distance and throw kind of in combination a little wild with a lot of power in the end of his shots. I think wrestling, well, again, meat and potatoes with Parisian, he's going to wear on you. He's going to put his body weight on you, kind of like a Blagoy Ivanov's going to try and do. Yeah. Tire you out up against the fence, get the takedown, similar to what he did against Alain Baudot. Whereas Jamal Pogues is going to go out there and try and Vitaly Minakov his way into this. We're going to take you down, we're going to slam you, we're going to do whatever we want. But when I do look at both these guys, Matt, you have Scorpion Fighting System out of Michigan for a guy like Parisian. For Jamal Pogues, I know it's got him listed on Tapology and SureDog. His Big Daddy Joe Stevenson's Cobra Kai. But he's training out a syndicate for this one with John Wood. So eager to see what the game plan is for Pogues. But when I look at this matchup, Matt, I don't know. I have a hard time trying to make the pick. Pogues is a young heavyweight at 27, 9-3. And when you're trying to project a ceiling for a guy, I have no idea. I have to see it against those top-level guys, and when I've seen him against top-level guys, he's lost so far. So I don't really know what we're going to get out of Pogues. And likewise, style for style, this could either be over in the first round, or it could be one of those slow burns at heavyweight.
It could be. I just think Pogues has enough grappling defense in his back pocket to keep this fight on the feet primarily. And if that is the case, I do favor him in some of the striking matchups, because the weird thing is, if you do crowd the space and brawl with Parisian, you're going to have a decided speed advantage in that area, and Pogues does hit pretty hard when he is able to get guys, not even in combination, even the single shot from that spot. And I think for those reasons, Parisian is going to really struggle in this fight if he's not able to get the takedown consistently, especially early in the matchup.
Well, it is going to be a very, very tricky one from that respect. If you do have a look at the odds in this matchup between these two guys at heavyweight, Pogues is a big favorite. Open minus 170. He's a minus 200 favorite right now. Parisian open plus 145, plus 167. We have a look at the Topology votes. Matt, surprise to us, they are to you. So that was the first time I saw those odds. That was a surprise to me because I have a hard time trying to pick this one. I think the fans are going to go overwhelmingly with Pogues, though. So I'm going to say over under 75% Pogues.
I was thinking 82, so I'll say over.
I'm going to say over. Slightly over. 410 total votes, 78% Pogues, 63% by decision. Majority thinking heavyweights are going to decision.
It'll be a bad one if it does.
22% at Parisian, 55% by decision, 42% by knockout. I think Pogues is a little bit quicker, a little bit more well-rounded. Of course, I like Parisian's wins in the UFC, one by split against Roque Martinez. He pushed a good pace in that one, threw some nice volume in the clinch, and against Baudot, he was just able to kind of have his Michigan way with him. So for me, Matt, I like Pogues with the grappling offense. Defense, but I like the fact that he's one of those heavyweights that can scramble out of bad positions. We'll see if he can do it against one of the bigger heavyweights in the division.
And that's why this is a really good debut for Pogues. We're going to learn a lot about him no matter what the result of this fight is. I am picking him in this matchup, but I'll say this for Parisian. It reminds me a lot of what Randy Brown unfortunately has to do tomorrow. Randy Brown was on a 4-fight win streak, and now it's, hey, you're a gatekeeper for a really good, promising prospect. For Parisian, it would have been nice if, hey, you've beat Alain Baudot. Now you can get another guy who's a little bit up in the division, not another fighter making their debut. It just is unfortunate that this is what Parisian has had to build towards, but I do have Pogues in the matchup.
Both of us going with the Stormtrooper Jamal Pogues to get the win in the matchup. Let us know down below in the comments section who you have, Matt. Zach Paugas taking on, oh my, Jordan Wright. You're not going to want to miss it. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. We always say, let's get into it.